Welcome to the Toastmasters Experience. My name is Evelyn. Get inspired by today's Toastmasters insights. Enjoy the show. And welcome to another episode of the Toastmasters Experience. I'm excited and delighted to have with me a Toastmaster by the name of Shaun Premnath. Welcome to the show, Shaun.
Wow, thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you for having me, Evelyn. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And we're going to start. I always start at the beginning. What clubs are you currently in, and how long have you been a Toastmaster?
All right, awesome. So I've got 3 clubs that I'm actually an active member of. One is Rouse Hill Toastmasters. Another is Quakers Hill Toastmasters, the same club as Dean Abea, the one that you interviewed a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm also part of a club based in America. They're in District 47. They're called Superior Speakers Advanced. And those are the 3 clubs that I have, and I really love all of them.
How long have you been a member of Toastmasters?
15 years, apparently.
15 years,
yeah.
Okay. And what motivated you to actually join?
All right, so this is going to be a very funny story. This was around December 2010, and Mum came up to me and said, Shaun, you need to do this thing called Toastmasters. It was the year that I turned 21. As a young 21-year-old, you're trying to find your place and your foot in the world and trying to do your things. And when Mum said to go to this, I was like, I'll do it when I can. She told me a couple of times during the year, and it came to a point at that time where she said, Shaun, I found you a club. You're going now. And I was like, okay, fine. And I actually decided to go out of anger because I'm like, fine, I'm going to go for this thing. And, I'm never going back again. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say the rest is history. So,
And what club was that?
So that club was with Winner's Circle. Back then it was called the Parramatta RSL. Now it's called the Club Parramatta.
Okay.
And they were meeting every first and third Mondays.
When you joined, was your mom also a member of Toastmasters?
No, she did this from what I recollect was before she even became a parent. So she was doing this, I think, in her early days as a young graduate, just finishing off her MBA at that time. She kind of just, I guess, life got the best of her and whatnot. And then somehow I think she was in a conversation with one of her colleagues, and a colleague said that, because with me at that time, Evelyn, I used to talk like a speeding bullet. So right now, the way I'm speaking is how it took me years to get there, but I would speak very fast that you wouldn't know how to see what I'm saying. I still get that funny comment where they say I sound like the Japanese bullet train. And it's still relevant today. But my issue was I just couldn't. I had all this energy, but I just couldn't finesse it into a conversation. So someone will talk to me, but they'll go, "Great, but what did he say again?"
Okay,
Yeah,
that's interesting. So she encouraged you to join Toastmasters to slow your speaking down,
yes.
and I guess probably to get your thought development.
Yeah, I was a kid that at that time I had a million thoughts running at that particular moment. I still do now, but at that point I just had so many things. So I could be having a conversation with you right now, but my mind will be racing about everything that's going to happen tomorrow, yesterday, or whatever. And so I was not physically and mentally present because I just had all these ideas. And sometimes the words that I would be saying out, it's kind of like now I have the word to say it. It's verbal diarrhea, where it's like I'll try and make sense of a sentence, but because I'm thinking of something, I somehow my brain and my mouth are not connecting at the same time. So
Okay. So how did Toastmasters help you in slowing you down?
Well, tons and tons and tons of evaluation recommendations saying slow down, slow down, slow down. So the time when I joined, it was the time pre-pathway. So it was the Competent Communicator and Competent Leadership Manual, which is the CC and CL manuals. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I remembered I knew that, I guess to get your DTM, you had to do the CCCL, then you get your bronze, silver, and gold, and then you get your DTM. That's how it was back in those days. I was saying to myself, all right, I've got to get this DTM as quick as I can, and whatever path, don't matter, right?
Okay.
Because I thought to myself, I guess I come from a background where I'm Indian by ethnic. I'm an Indian Malaysian, and for us, it's like it's always the qualification. It's always the what you are, and so it's like a progression kind of thing. So if you get that highest level, it's like, well, you're the know-it-all. You're the top of the game, and that's that. So I actually approached this in a way of like, all right, I just joined. I'm going to make sure by the end of the year, I finish all my 10 speeches in my CC. And then with the CL, with the various assignments that you have to do and whatnot, I'm going to make sure I finish that as soon as I can. So I had all these big targets, and I realized that in Toastmasters, it's not about the like how quickly you do it. It's actually the journey that you take. So there's no timeline. There's no like you need to get this done kind of thing. But it's just your journey, and that's the thing that I got from it.
Well, and so did you actually get your DTM?
I am funny enough. I would say only the last year is when I actually properly like focused to work towards my DTM, and that's one of the very few reasons why I finished my effective coaching pathway last Toastmaster year. And I was actually hoping to get my DTM by the end of this Toastmaster year, but unfortunately there were just a couple of things that I couldn't get in line because I had to do. So I can now, with the current requirements, you have to finish 2 pathways, serve as a club exec, serve as a district leader, so area director onwards and above. You have to either be doing a speech craft or club sponsor or run a youth leadership program. And I think the other thing was also getting a club coach. So one of the things that I was kind of I haven't gotten to is actually, I'm currently coaching 10 to Field Toastmasters. We got the necessary DCP points to get distinguished, but we've had a bit of a membership thing where we've lost a couple of new members in the last renewal. So we're trying our best to see if we can get some members before 30th of June, but we're also being mindful of like, as a coach, you're not part of the members nexus of that club. You're just there to give advice and just support and whatever you can. And I'm actually working with Kathy McBride, my co-club coach. So we're just gonna like, take it easy and make sure that sort of sees through. And my only thing that I need to do is obviously just finish my pathway, which is my presentation mastery, and run a speech craft or be a club sponsor. And then I get my DTM.
So you initially said that you wanted to become a DTM when you first joined. So obviously a few things got in the way of that.
Yep.
What actually got in the way?
If I were to wind the clock back to when I first joined, I joined because mom said so. And I guess at the point in my time, Evelyn, I was a young 21-year-old. Before I joined Toastmasters, my situation was I lost a job and I was actually let go from a job. The other thing was I was doing a degree that I wasn't necessarily happy with. So I was previously an accountant. I was doing a degree I was starting a degree in University of New South Wales. And that year was a bit of a turning point because it was the first year that I knew that you can get suspended from university because I just failed too many subjects and I didn't hit the requirement. I remember my first term that time, I actually failed. I took 4 subjects, I failed all the 4. And then the next semester, I took 3 subjects, but I failed 2 and passed 1. And then that's when they said I'm suspended. So when you get suspended, you basically take a year off uni, and then the year after that, you jump back in. So for the year of 2011, I was basically a bit of a free person trying to find my footing in everything. I don't know what was going on. I also, at that young age, I don't know how do I tell my parents that, hey, just so you know, I got suspended from university, and it was not the best thing to tell them. So I had to find my way to try and tell them at that time. When I went to Toastmaster, I remember when I attended Winner's Circle at that time, I was talking to a lady by the name of Robin Peck, and she was telling me, hey, there's a program called Speechcraft, and that's like it's like doing Toastmaster, but like in a small, in a snapshot. So it was like a 6-week course, and I just had to essentially keep certain Wednesdays free for 6 weeks, and I would go in there and do my I guess the sort of the first 5 or 6 speeches in the competent communicator manual in that snapshot. So you learn how to do write your speech, learn how to do an evaluation, and did all that. And in that midst as well, I actually managed to secure a job at that time. So I was working with the state government, and at that time I was just plodding along, just going through. And then I also found out that at my workplace, I was working in the city. There was another club. There was another Toastmaster club that was there at the workplace. Like I was working at level 19, and they were meeting every, I think at that time, second and fourth Thursdays at just the common sort of meeting area. That's like a big meeting area that everyone goes and does their stuff there. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, I've got one that I do every Monday nights. All right, I've got another club. Happy days. Let's just join this club over here on Thursdays. And that was a good way for me to keep working on the skill that I had. And I think for me, the reason why I joined was because I knew the confidence that I got from doing Toastmaster. And it taught me a lot of things like how to answer certain questions, how to deal with, I guess, conflict. I get very caught up in my own thoughts, and I get very caught up in my own little bubble at times. And one of the things I realized that Toastmaster actually helped me learn how to, one, speak to people, actually have conversations like what we're doing right now. Learn how to command myself with my body language and learn how to have the presence out there. Because I realized even the simple things, I had an issue where someone was saying to me, just put your shoulders up. And I would always say, like, that's something that my mom would always say to me, Shaun, shoulders up, chest up, and sit up straight. And I'll be like, man, sometimes I just want to sit down like a slouch and a couch potato. And my mom would be like, no, sit up straight. And then now, like, the simple things like that really helped. But the thing was, I realized that's where I found the click to start speaking, because I realized that I just found a coherence in my whole body, because I realized that even in this conversation that we're having right now, I had this thing in me of like, I want to get as much as I can to you in a given space of time. Don't care whatever. But for me, it was like, I just need to get it out of my system. I need to tell you. Why that's the case, I don't know. I just have to tell you.
I love your mom for her to encourage you to join it. So you joined at the age of 21.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. So what has been something about Toastmasters that has surprised you?
It's funny that you asked this question, because I had this question asked with me earlier today. I met with a club that's based in Taiwan. And one of the table topics question is, it's actually what you just asked me just then.
Really?
Very interestingly, very full circle, Evelyn. I don't know what this is, and I'm actually trying to recollect the response that I said, but I think I didn't. I think that they just asked me generically, not Toastmaster. But to answer your question over there, I came to Toastmasters purely for getting better as a speaker, learning how to just hold conversations, learning how to make sure that I don't come across this bundle of energy and just like exuberate everything and try to speak quickly. The one thing that actually surprised me was, I guess, the other side of Toastmasters, which is the leadership. I joked this with Bradley Silk, which is currently, he's my division director, but he's going to be the new club growth director in the new term. And I joke with him in the last year. We've been talking about this. Funny enough, we had a division council a couple of weeks ago, and he was showing us like how, for the incoming successors of our area directors that are going to take over in the new year, he has like a little bit of a document that shows what are some things that you need to know about the club, who are the current people, other people that you can think would be good leadership quality. And the funny thing that he wrote, and I still laugh at this every day, I'm sure when he listens to this, he'll laugh at it as well. There was one question in that form, and it says, who is someone that you see with leadership qualities? And my name was there. And Evelyn, I kid you not, this was a report that he did as an area director 3 years ago.
Wow. I know that you are going to be the incoming division director of a very new division.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So the current new division is called Ironbark, and Ironbark has about six or seven areas, and four of those areas are the current Macquarie division. Just for context, the Macquarie division currently comprises of clubs that are pretty much in the North Shore side of town. So we're talking like, Ryde, Epping, Macquarie Park, Barara, Hornsby, Killara, Taramara, those basically the north area. And it's also going to be interestingly comprising my home club, which I'm very proud of, Rouse Hill, Castle Hill, Hills District, Woolworths Norwest. And funny enough, Rouse Hill is actually the club that I helped charter 10 years ago, actually. There'll be two areas that are currently from the current Eastern Division, and that's clubs that are like in the Wyong, Gosford, Central Coast kind of area. So 35 clubs are basically under this new division called Ironbark.
Will this be the first time that you're a division director?
Yes, very first time.
Very exciting. So have you been an area director before?
Yes, currently this year, this Toastmaster year, I'm an area director. I'm part of Area 25 now, and that's comprising of clubs Ryde District, Enthusiastic Epping. We've got Leaders in Action. I think they were previously known as Marsfield Toastmasters, but now they're renamed to Leaders in Action, and also Eastwood Toastmasters.
Okay. And how did you find the area director role?
It's been very. I think for me, this is where I probably use my speaking to its proper use. What do I mean by that? I started Toastmasters to get into speaking and just to be better with my speaker. When I took on this role, first of all, I went in with pure selfish intentions, and that's just to get my DTM. Didn't care what it was, just did it so that I can get that box tick, happy days.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'd learned from this was just how to empower the club executives, because I have been so much in the world of the club, beyond the four walls of my club. And I was always focusing so much on how to make my club good, how to make my club be well. How do I ensure that we have regular people turning up and making sure that we don't have one person doing like three roles at once? How can we make sure that we have equal distribution? And I was just trying to make sure, to be very frank, Russell was at one point where we were not sure whether it was going to survive, because I think there was one time we had a meeting, there was 4 people in the room. So I was so focused on just making sure my own home club was like, okay. Then I thought to myself, you know what? The club's in good hands. There's a couple people in there. Let's give this area directorship a go. And I realized that it was a great chance for me to learn how other people ran and perceived Toastmasters in their own thing. What did they transform? What I guess all of us know in our Toastmaster setting, the things like having a Toastmaster of the day, the things like having a Laugh Master. Where would you put your evaluations for speakers when it comes to doing the prepared speakers side of things? You know, some people might go prepared speakers and then maybe have a 5-minute Laugh Master so that it gives time for the evaluators to get their notes together so they can prepare the evaluation. I also learned introducing certain roles into the club as well. I learned how maybe, for example, general evaluation, you don't have to do a general evaluation right at the end of the meeting. You can do a first half and a second half. So it was a lot of learning for me to go, this is how they do it. We could take a little bit of them and try and implement it in our club, in my home club, and see whether that worked.
So you learned, different ways of running meetings by being an area director and meeting a whole bunch of people. I guess another thing about being an area director, you're also in charge of the area competition, right?
Yes.
The area.
Yes.
And how has that been for you to see all the different speakers? Do you think you've learned how to become a better speaker by listening to all these different people compete in competitions?
Yes, and also a little bit more on how I could get other people opportunities as well to be a part of this. One of the things that I had to do when I got into this area director role, one was I had a lot of pre information given to me. So I knew I was coming into an area that was one, some long-standing clubs, and
Mm-hmm.
they already have some good system in place, and they're pretty much good. So they can be very self-sufficient. I don't need a lot of sort of some. I know some areas where the area director is very hands-on. They're very in the scene. They're always visiting the club, not just on an official visit, but like they come every once in a while, once a month or something or whatever. Right? I came into this area where I knew there were a lot of previous division directors, very, very experienced people in the room. So I didn't had to do a lot, if anything. I joke with this with Hendrik Leanter from Ride District, and I said to him, "You know what? You guys are the one who will make my job so easy because you know what is expected. I don't need to. I don't need to follow up things like, have you done your renewals? Have you put have you get your people into pathways? They understand and what is involved with that." And he said, "You're making me. You're becoming my area director when I should be your area director," which is very funny.
Yeah.
But to answer your question about the level of competition, I think it was really nice to see because one, I was so comfortable in the Western Division, and that was where Rausil was currently they're there. So I knew a lot of the clubs. There were, I guess, Blue Mountains, the club that you're from,
Yeah.
where Evelyn, and I know clubs like Dubbo, Bathurst, areas like Quakers Hill, all those clubs in that mix from the Dural to Dubbo kind of spectrum.
Yeah.
I was very comfortable with that, and I knew what was going on. Like I remember the year before, this time last year, I actually was able to compete in a division contest and came third for that. So I kind of knew how Western Division was. Coming into this area and your new division, it made me see the level of depth and the level of breadth of the people that were there, and a
Right.
lot of long-standing people in there. So there was a lot of like culture-driven stuff already that was there. It could be people who have been there for a while, or some people have been there probably longer than I have been around, or some people have just really had a good mentoring system down pat that it's allowed for them to make sure that they were doing really well. Now, the second thing that I really got from this as well is giving some of the members from my two clubs an opportunity to see what was life beyond their own club. So I was very lucky to give at least 3 of my members a chance to be test speakers in area contests and also club contests. One of them was actually Dean, who actually took the opportunity to become a test speaker for the area contest. And when he presented his speech, he was like, wow, I thought this is what I could do in my club. I just went to a completely new playing field and
Yep.
did the presentation. And I got 5 different people evaluate me.
Yeah.
All the same speech and different. It just opened his mind.
It's been a real sort of learning curve for you to be an area director and a division director. That's what it
100%.
sounds like. Yeah. Yeah. And are you enjoying it?
It is the one thing that has helped me learn the power of delegation and the power of allowing others to grow. Because if I am front and center doing everything, then how am I supposed to let others who are coming in, who want to give them the opportunity to do it, to grow? If I keep doing it every single time, then I'm not actually helping or value adding. I'm actually, and this is the one thing that I learned at the District 70 conference with Balraj Arunasalam with his speech. He did a workshop with some of the incoming district leaders, and he said a very powerful statement. And he said, leaders don't create followers, they create leaders. So I was driving back and I was really thinking on that statement, right, Evelyn? And I said to myself, I talked to my wife about this. My wife, I got her into Toastmasters a couple of years ago, and because we said that the best thing for us to ensure that we have a long life in our marriage is to have good communication. So why don't we partake in a organization that helps us practice that good communication? And I passed this story on to my wife, and I told her this statement, and she said, "Yeah, Shaun, you're already doing it." And I was like, "Darling, what do you mean?" And she goes, Shaun, think about what you've done so far this year. You've had people that normally you would do things yourself. They've gone and taken up the roles because you've given them that opportunity to
Yeah.
step up, to do things. They made their mistakes, but they learned from it. But you were kind enough to even give them that opportunity to do it. And that made me realize one thing, Evelyn.
Mm-hmm.
I think because it's funny, a couple of days ago. So my profession now, I'm actually a music coach. So I teach kids how to play piano and guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a student the other day ask me and said, Shaun, who's your leader? Who do you think is a leader? And that question really stumped me, Evelyn, because I was thinking to myself, like, some people will say, like, maybe Barack Obama or certain other prolific figures, Martin Luther King, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking to myself, like, I I don't know who to say
Mm-hmm.
is my leader. I couldn't visualize someone, and I really struggle with that. And this was a young 7-year-old asked me this question, and I said to myself, like, oh, I actually don't have a response to that. I'll get back to you. And my wife actually was, when I was telling her this statement that I heard from Balraj, she said to me, Shaun, I think you are the leader that you want to be. And I think you found the answer to that question because it reminds me of the story that Matthew McConaughey did when he got his Oscar. And he said he wants to thank his future self. That future self is what you yourself are wanting to work to. So the 30-year-old yourself, the 40-year-old version of you,
Mm-hmm.
your 50-year-old. So what's the next thing that you want to try and work towards to? Because you say to yourself, by 30, I want to do X, Y, and Z. By 40, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And he said that was the person that he wanted to thank to. He didn't want he did the thing of thanking others, but he wanted to thank his role model because that's the person he looked up to. Because he said to himself, that future self is the kind of person that I want to be, and that's helping me go back to the present, work on it now so that I can work towards that. And my wife was saying to me, Shaun, you are being somebody that you've wanted when you came on this area director and this thing beyond the club to what you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like saying to myself, huh,
Yeah.
little did I know.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've learned a lot from your Toastmasters journey, and what a privilege to join so young. I mean, so many people I talk to, they say, "Oh God, I wish I would have joined Toastmasters at a younger age," and you've actually done that. So, if I can ask you, what has Toastmasters done for your personal and your professional life?
Oh, a lot. As I said before, when I first joined, I was in a career that wasn't for me. Toastmasters helped me realize if I needed to be my true self, I need to really go for it and really like give it my best. Around 2012, I discovered the wonders of world champion of public speaking
Mm-hmm.
and what it entailed. And I saw that and I said to myself, so you can speak and you can compete and go all. So that was the year that I really got into competition, Evelyn, because the first year I was just, you know what, let me get my head around Toastmasters, all good and everything. And 2012 was the year like, oh, there's this thing called competitions. Do you want to be a part of it? And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a crack. And then suddenly I came across the sort of final sevens. I think that time was 11, was like 11 speakers around the globe that got a chance to be on that world stage and deliver the speech. And I remember that time, that was the year that in 2012, Ryan Avery did the speech on trust is a must.
Mm.
And his speech really hit me. And I said to myself, he put his heart and soul into that speech. And you can tell that man said every word that he said and he lived it. And he was not afraid to wear that as his piece of armor
Mm-hmm.
and show that to the world. And I thought to myself, whoa, be yourself because others have been taken. And that really hit me. And I said to myself, okay, I've got to really work on this. And look, Toastmasters was it made me how do I say this? It made me dig deep into
Mm,
asking myself what is it that I really want to do in my life. I was in a good place. I was working a job, and I was I was able to complete my degree at some point after being expelled from university, and I somehow managed to find my way back and somehow finish what I started. It gave me the conviction to, you know what, if you start something, finish it off. Just do it. And that also allowed me to give me that confidence to go, you know what, I better go give this career that I have in mind a proper crack, which is actually leaving my accounting job and going, right, let's give this music thing a proper go and see what happens. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. What's the worst that could happen? And I thought to myself, you know what? I even put my life as a bit of an evaluation. I'm sure like the universe will evaluate me and say, these are a good commendation. Maybe more recommendations. Slow down a little bit. Some point, someone will give me like an evaluation. So I kind of looked at my world a bit like how Toastmasters sort of operated. Because of Toastmasters, I was able to leave my job and be able to go into what I wanted to be when I grow up. As kids, a lot of people will ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? People would say doctor, musician, whatever. I said, I just want to be a music guy. I want to be a guy who makes music. And I actually did what I said I wanted to do when I was a kid. And when I got to my journey, Evelyn, I at that point when I changed careers, as we always know, Toastmasters is a non-profit thing, and we all do this for the love of it. It's the service leadership side of things, right?
mhm.
And I realized that my life needed to come first, and I needed to get things in order. So I said to the club that I helped charter, Russell, I said to them, as much as I love helping all of you and put a club together, I need to put me first, and I need to make sure that I'm okay and I can survive. I know the club will still be around after I come back. So I actually took even though I've been in Toastmasters for 15 years, I did take about a 4-year break
Mhm.
because I wanted to just focus on, well, now I'm in this career that I've been talking since I was a kid. I'm actually living this dream now. I've got to try and make it work and see if I can, put food on the table, so to speak.
And
uh,
sorry, just so you went from accounting to music.
yes.
So how did your parents react to that?
It was a tough one, and I think we'd have to do another podcast episode.
Okay.
But I'll try and keep it a bit more truncated and a shorter version. I think for me, I came from a background where you either had to have a stable career. So it's either the doctor, the engineer, the finance, the sort of the classic 9 to 5 job, if I were to call it that way. And let's just put that as the way as we define it in this conversation. When I first told them I wanted to do music, I remembered the conversation I had with my parents, and my parents said that so are you going to do that busking thing where you're going to sit down on the ground and like hope people will pay for if you have food? And I
Yeah.
think they just didn't really understand that. And I guess for me was I was already a middle child, so I was the kid that my brother was I have an older brother and a younger sister, and my older brother was the class champion, and then there was me, the naughty kid who would always do everything wrong. I would be the one that when it comes to parent teacher interview, Sean talks too much energy, distraction in the class, blah, 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 you name it, right?
Uh-huh.
My issue was trying to find a career that I was happy in. I knew music was, but I guess at that time, there was no reference point. It was either you become a global superstar or you just do music as a hobby, so to speak, but not the in between where just a everyday guy who's just trying to make it work and be a small business owner and whatnot and stuff like that. So it took them a while, but when I finally came to it, my parents were in the position of like, hey, with the government, you can take like 1 year unpaid leave and just go and give this a crack and take as long as you want to it. And if if it's not going to work out, then I guess you can come back to the job that you want to. What I've learned in Toastmasters, especially in the effective coaching pathway, has helped me be a better coach to my own music students, and what more to do it to a bunch of up and coming young kids. What more can you
Yeah.
ask for?
No, I love that. And I think when you're doing something that you love, you are so passionate about it anyways that,
Yes.
eventually, the money comes and you're able to make a living from what you love to do. So,
Yes.
and I understand that Toastmasters really does, it helps so many people on so many levels. So, Shaun, you have got a lot going on because
Yep.
this will be your first time being division director.
Yes.
Is there anything that needs to be done that's different? Because we know that District 90 and District 70 have amalgamated, and that's
Yep.
why Ironbark is this new sort of division. Is there a lot more expected of you?
Um, I'm still yet to find the answer to that. Look, to be honest, I think for me right now, I'm actually just trying to get more ears on the ground and actually trying to know the members a little bit more better. I think I have a bit more of a home field advantage because one, I'm a current area director of the current Macquarie division. So with the contest happened a couple of weeks ago, I kind of know who's around, who's there. They may not know me in the sense that they haven't had a conversation with me, but I guess they know who I am, so to speak. I guess I feel like I guess when we just recently had the division council a couple of weeks ago, I got a sense of what kind of clubs are there and what kind of people that make the club. So I do have a very good counsel to sort of lean on and just ask questions and maybe help me get my understanding of what kind of culture is already set in place. The other thing that's I guess quite good is the fact that my home club, my current where my area is going to be part of, is actually quite okay. Like in the sense that I kind of know that area quite well, and like most of them know me, and I know them as well.
And I think you, as division director, because you know so many people from the area, I think you're really well placed for the Ironbark division. So I'm really excited.
Thank you, appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah, very very excited for your incoming term of division director. So what are you looking forward to the most about being the division director for this coming year?
I think for me, I really want to go back to the initial statement that Balraj said in that weekend where he said, leaders create leaders, not followers. I am excited to actually help create. So I'll have seven or six area directors under me. And I'm excited to actually help create leaders out of them so that they can bring that same experience to their own clubs and help their own club, I guess elevate their own sort of club experience, so to speak. That's definitely something I'm really excited for because one of the things that I keep seeing a lot is everybody wants to be a better speaker, but nobody aspires to be a better leader. And that's the one thing that I say this in a way that this is based off my experience. We all talk about okay, slowing down, no arms, no R's, making sure the message is clear, making sure that we have a framework, command, recommend, command, prep method when it comes to speaking, right? But when it comes to leadership, like, is there a framework? Is there a thing? Yes, there are things that I guess TI gives us and we learn from our mentors and whatnot. And I remember I wrote this in the recent blog post about the benefit of having a club coach in your club. And we look at the people that we consider the greats. I remember there was an emoji that actually one of my students introduced me a couple of weeks ago. So apparently, if you put the emoji, the goat, I didn't know that goat meant greatest of all time. In
Okay.
case you didn't know, just
Yeah.
FYI, Evelyn, I was like,
Oh, I didn't know
okay, there
that.
you go. I was like, right, okay, that's what a goat meant. So it's because one of my students sent that to me in their lesson notes, and I was like, are you calling me a goat one? And then they goes, no, 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 sir, it's greatest of all time, and that's what goat meant. And I was like, oh, okay. And one of the things I said was, the people that we know became the greatest of all time is because they had the the good coaches, the good mentors behind them to make them become the greatest of all time. And it helped them, empowered them, believe in their whatever they could do, and they took it to the next level. even better than they would. So one thing that I would really want to try and do is actually help create potential people who could be mentors, who could be coaches, who could help actually have a good mentorship program in Toastmasters. As I think if we have that, we will definitely have a lot of people who understand what Toastmasters is all about, understand that it's all about creating the greatest speakers of all time. It's about creating the best evaluator of all time. Every single people that, for example, like what we saw on the weekend with the competitions, all those people that got to the district level, it's all because of the great mentorship and the great thing that we want to do. And I want to try and bring that into this new division because we've got a mix of people. Some people, yeah, they know each other, but then there's some people going, right, this is a new group of people that I'm around.
It has been such a pleasure having you on this podcast. I'm so excited for Ironbark Division and that you are at the helm of Ironbark. Now, there's a question that I ask that ends the whole interview, and I wanted to ask you, what sort of advice would you give someone who is considering joining Toastmasters?
Trust the journey and the journey alone. The destination will come when it's your time, but enjoy the journey, the highs and the lows, because getting the credentials, the qualifications or whatever, they will come back and they will always be there. But you also want to make sure that you enjoy the journey. I joined because mom said so. I stayed because I got a lot out of this, and the people that I get to meet, Evelyn, and I realized that because of this, I was able to change my careers. I met the love of my life, and now I am coaching kids, the next generation of people who will take on from me after my time is gone. And that's the best thing that I've got. And for me, I still think it's a journey because I trusted the journey more than the destination. And that has made it so worth it. I love what I do every single day. And it's because of Toastmasters and the learnings I got from it. I brought it into my everyday life, and I guess the rest is history.
Thank you so much, Shaun, and just wishing you so much success for next year.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for your company. Please tune in next time to the Toastmasters Experience.